What's up, guys? It's me, Judge the Rat, back again for June's end of month update video for Project Fighters. I'm super excited to talk about what we've done. So, right now, the focus is Shadow because, for the most part, Sonic is done, and we'll show off the full Sonic kit that we've kind of um, landed with. And even then, there's still going to be some changes to this kit. There's going to be some alterations to the passive and some alterations to the main attacks. So the primary attack for Sonic is going to be a little different than what you see in this video today. But that's stuff that's going to be worked on kind of further down the line, since we're focusing more on Shadow right now. When we finally get back to Sonic, those are changes that we're going to try to focus on. So, what is Sonic's kit? So, the first thing he has is his uppercut kick ability that has a knockup. He's got his primary attack, which right now is a flurry of punches. And when the passive reaches max, he enters this kind of flow state where he can do Taekwondo. That's what's going to change in the future, is the fact that the Taekwondo is going to be removed, and instead he's going to have kind of this basic attack that is more, I won't say slow, but it's definitely slower than what you see here in terms of the speed. And what we're going to do is we're going to have an ability that puts him into hyper mode. And once he enters hyper mode, he does these attacks. He starts doing more flurry attacks. The animations, though, are going to be more looking like when he's in the air and he throws punches. So it's going to be mainly fist oriented. We're going to try to remove kick oriented part of the animations. They're cool and I like them, but they look a little weird as you're jumping around and trying to fight. So I wanted to try to get more just straightforward consistency. So what else? He's got his slide, so he can slide, and while sliding he's gonna have iframes. And you can also jump while sliding to maintain momentum. So you can have a lot of speed out of this. And you can cross very far distances. He's got a double jump, part of his passive. He's got sprint as part of his passive. And then he's got the wall run, which now you can choose to sprint while doing that. While in the air, if you press the slide button, you have a forward attack somersault kind of thing. If you hit an enemy with it, they get knocked up. We're going to change this to based on where they get hit, they're going to get knocked back and knocked up a little bit. But, just so we can knock them back, we have to knock them up slightly. So that's really all the knockup is going to be for. But ultimately, we want to knock people back based on where they get hit while you're initiating that attack. Some cool tech that we've added. I'm sure I've talked about this in the previous video, but this is just the full kit that we've kind of, like I said, landed on, is if you slide and jump, you get more speed. And now visually, Sonic looks like he runs faster, so that way you know you're entering that full kind of speed, the full speed, whatever, What else? Oh yeah, his ultimate. The ultimate was also something that we worked on a lot this month, because we needed to add a bunch of stuff to it to make it look cool and feel cool. And it was mainly a focus on things like physics for this ultimate, because the ultimate is Sonic Wind. So once you press the F key, you enter this precast for your ultimate, so that way you can mark where you want it to go. And then when you initiate, it starts doing all the physics stuff. And as you can see, when a player dies, they get ragdolled. And that was what we worked really hard on to make happen, was the enemy character ragdoll and the physics, so that they don't ragdoll while they're moving and while they're playing, but when they die, the body gets ragdolled and gets thrown around, just like the cubes did. So it adds a bit of kind of humor, a bit of charm, you know, a little bit of fun. As you saw, though, when I triggered the ultimate, I was taking damage, and there were some like little bugs going on, and there's a lot of like extra things that need to be worked on. This is all part of the work that's going to be done further down the line. Once we are done with Shadow, we're going to come back to Sonic, iron out the kinks, you know, straighten out the issues, and try to get them into a more kind of stable state. This is kind of, I would say, an unstable, finished Sonic kit. Give or take a couple of the ability concepts like the passive, it's for the most part done. So now we're going to talk about Shadow, and we're going to talk about what he's got for himself. As you can see, the HUD is a little bit more built out. As we work on Shadow, we're also working out the HUD, and we're working out kind of the art style that we want the HUD and certain things like abilities to look like. So far, the abilities down in the lower right hand corner of the screen, we've gone with kind of an art style that's like chibi, but also trying to make the character silhouette focused on white, so that way it always stands out no matter where you look on the screen, and silhouette focused. So as you can see, it's just very simplified with the chibi design, silhouetted to the white, and then designing it so that you can tell, okay, you know, based on the hair, that's Shadow, or based on certain design aspects, you can tell that this is Shadow's ability kind of art. So that's kind of, you know, some like concept art, some like test art that I wanted to put in there. After having it there for a while now, though, I kind of like the design because it's simple, it's straightforward, and it kind of gets the ability across without cluttering visually, you know, what it is. You know, we might do some redesigns on like certain abilities, but I think this is kind of the art style we're going to land on with the abilities. Now, as you can see on the left side, we have the character image. That was something that I kind of put together just really quick, slapped it together. I think when we get to the phase of redesigning the models, we'll use the new models as the official kind of character portrait for that. And we'll start working on a more kind of official design for the HUD that has better like visual flow or something like that, you know. For now, though, this is kind of just a test HUD to see how things work, to get things like cooldown timers working and stuff like that. So for Shadow's abilities, his first ability was the power grab. This is going to be redesigned to be just on press. He's going to leap, and if he connects with somebody, he's going to punch them and knock them back. Currently, in the way that it's designed, it's a charge, and if you don't meet the charge, when you let go of the key, he just resets, goes into cooldown. But if you reach max charge, he leaps and he grabs a player and then knocks them back. All of that required a lot of work to put together, but also I think in the long run it'll just be easier to say, okay, if you press the key and go straight for a leap and you hit somebody, then they get knocked back. The interactivity between characters is just going to be a lot easier to manage. After that, we've got the teleport ability, and with this, as you can see at the bottom right, it's the green stars art down there. If we teleport, that enters cooldown, and this is direction based, so whichever direction you're moving, you're going to teleport in that direction. Now, we also have an ability that we're working on. It's not completely done, it's still kind of a work in progress. It's what's currently being worked on, is the target teleport. So this is right click, you'll teleport. I've been thinking most movement based abilities will probably make right click. Unless you don't have a movement based ability, then we'll put something else there. But for now, you know, Sonic's slide, his somersault attack, they're all right click. So this teleport ability is also right click, but for this alternate teleport ability, you can teleport to a target. As you can see, a visual appears on the player when I look at them and they're within line of sight. And if I press R, I teleport to them. And then it kind of resets. So the thing that's being worked on right now is this targeting system. As you can see, it's way too big, you know, but it took a lot of work and we were able to get it to set up to where it's kind of working based on how close they are to Shadow, give or take. But yeah, it's supposed to be that if you press R and you teleport to them, Shadow won't just teleport to them. When he appears in front of them, he will also perform an attack. So it's almost like an initiation ability, right? He's gonna have melee, but it's not his primary attack. His primary attack is going to be Chaos Spears. So he's mainly ranged focused. But he's also going to have, I would say, frontline potential, where he can close gaps on players if they're close enough. As you can see, if I back up far enough, this is kind of the max range that you're looking at. If I use a normal teleport, it's actually a little bit farther than a normal teleport. So this is going to work not just on enemies, it's going to work on teammates too. Which means you can use this to teleport to a teammate, like as an escape. If you're fighting someone and you kind of just want to turn around and get away, you can look for a teammate if they're close enough and teleport onto them and get out of trouble. So that's kind of what we're looking at. We might rework the on teleport perform an attack thing if it doesn't work out the way we want it to. You know, it's all work in progress for Shadow specifically, but that was kind of the idea that we wanted to go with for the teleport. So the next thing we're going to cover for Shadow is his primary attack, which is the Chaos Spear. As you can see, it's very big, but this was kind of just a test projectile to see how it would look. And we had a previous projectile that was a very tiny line, you know. I wanted to make it a little bit bigger and a little bit more, have a little bit more presence. This is too big, but I just kind of kept it because I just needed something to use. So this will get worked on somewhere down the line. But as part of his passive, if he deals damage, he charges his rage meter. So his rage meter right now is not fully functional. It should, we're going to have it to where it'll decrease if you're not fighting or taking damage. Here's the taking damage. It charges. So at max rage, you can perform Chaos Blast.
Death to all who oppose me.
Now, what we're currently working on for Shadow is the Chaos Grab, which is what I showed you in the beginning. Reworking that. We have another ability that we're going to work on called the Chaos Volley, which is where he throws a volley of Chaos Spears. We're currently working on the Teleport melee attack, getting that done, and then of course his ultimate ability. It's going to be Chaos Control, so it's going to be an AoE stun. And then I think for Shadow, that should be everything. If we were to kind of talk about what is the philosophy going with these characters, we're looking at Sonic as being more of a dive character, a character who, both of these characters are DPS 100%. But Sonic is going to be more about diving because he's got much more mobility options. Get into a fight and get out really fast if he needs to. We also want him to have kind of sustained potential that he can also hold the front line if he has to. So for Sonic, it's dive potential and frontline potential. And for Shadow, it's the opposite. We want Shadow to have the ability to hold the backline for his team and kind of poke. So he's going to be a bit of poke, but he can also hold the front line if he has to. He can also counter dive characters. So he could counter a Sonic character if he wanted to, because he's going to have, he's going to have the explosive chaos volleys. He's going to have the range that he can try to lead shots. He can try to teleport onto Sonic. So there's a lot of potential there for Shadow to be a counter to a dive, to be a poke, and then to also hold the front line. Even though both Sonic and Shadow are different, they also are kind of the same, right? So they meet in the middle. I'm really happy with what we're looking at right now in terms of the design of the characters and the philosophy behind them. So yeah, if you want to watch me work on this, I do work on this live on stream every Friday. It's kind of a casual work stream. It's not going to be too serious. If you want to chat with me, you can, if you have any questions. That should be it for the month of June. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next month.